Hi, my name is Kelsey and I read today. What did I read? I read Kingdom Keepers, Disney After Dark by Ridley Pearson. Now, I love Disney, and with that came me adoring these books as a kid. I remember going to the library, checking them out, buying every book from Barnes & Noble, going to a Ridley Pearson book signing. I was obsessed. I love Disney so much that I went and worked for them as a part of the Disney College program. I worked at a lot of different parts of the park. However, my home park was Magic Kingdom, so I thought, hey, why not give this a reread since you've worked at Disney After Dark and you don't remember anything that happened in these books. And I'm all about preserving the Disney magic, so if it ever sounds like I'm spoiling something or I'm revealing too much, all of it is mentioned in the book and described in the book. So I did try my best to make sure everything I'm saying in this video is correct, so if it's ever wrong, just comment it below and I'm going to update the description with the revised facts. And this will be a long video, so there's going to be chapter times in the description too. This will be a new series on my channel, so make sure you subscribe so we can go through the world of the Kingdom Keepers together, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss a notification. Alright, so I guess we're just going to go through this book and I'm going to tell you what happened. A group of kids have auditioned and were chosen to become Disney Host Interactives, also known as DHIs. DHIs are basically holographic tour guides created by the Walt Disney Company to show guests around and answer any questions that they may have. The book starts with our main character Finn Whitman going to bed and then waking up in Main Street, USA. I think Main Street is the perfect place to start this book because it's the first thing that guests see when they enter the park, and it's also kind of like the start of Walt Disney itself because it's based off of his hometown. So Finn's looking around, it's pitch black, he looks down at his arm and he realizes he's in his holographic body. He looks around, not a third shift worker or cleanup crew member in sight, the park is empty, and Finn runs into this old guy named Wayne, who is an Imagineer who used to work for Walt Disney. And Finn is like, wow, I'm dreaming, this is so weird. And Wayne explains that this is not a dream and he needs to find the rest of the other Disney hosts to find out what's going on. So Finn wakes up and he's like, guess I gotta find the other people. So at Finn's middle school, he's basically a celebrity. His face is all over Disney property. At school, we meet Finn's friend Dillard. He doesn't have a purpose. I think he's just there to show that he has friends outside of the DHIs. He's never brought back again. And then we also meet the new girl, Amanda, who just transferred there. Finn kind of has a crush on Amanda, but like, Now here is where I realized that this book is truly a period piece. It was published in 2005, and everything in it and every Disney aspect in it is how it was in 2005. So Finn is faced with the issue of tracking down all the other kids. How is he gonna do it? Well, our boy Finn has the brilliant idea to go into the park when he's not allowed to and find the holograms, take photos of them on a digital camera, and then show them to people and ask if they know what middle school they go to. There's just so much wrong with this plan, and it bugged me. This scene lasted for too long in this book, and it didn't need to happen. Okay, 1, you are celebrities. They are so famous that they can't even go into the park without telling the company that they're going, because they can't have the actual person and the hologram be in the same spot at the same time, because that's just bad Disney look. That doesn't look good. The internet was a thing in 2005. Your photos are everywhere. You're basically international news. You are public figures. Check the internet, check a newspaper, check the phone book. You don't have to go through all this stuff just to get their pictures. Your pictures are everywhere. Second, Finn made it seem like everyone got along so well at the auditions. Like, it's 2005, get their email addresses and phone numbers if you're friends. In 2005, that's all I did. Like, don't go through all this trouble and rule breaking to get photos that are easily in your house. I'm sure your mom has taken a bunch of photos of you in the DHIs. It's so stupid, none of it needed to happen. Let me tell you how this plan went down. So Finn calls up the girl he's known for a day. He's like, Amanda, can you get me in with your parents' complimentary passes? And she's like, okay. So they enter the park and surprise Finn, a hat and sunglasses aren't gonna keep you from being recognized. So security starts chasing them down. They go on this wild goose chase. They run into the Haunted Mansion and they escape through the chicken exit. There is a chicken exit at the Haunted Mansion. It's basically an exit for people who don't want to ride the ride or are too scared to do it. But whatever, Finn gets his photos, he leaves. This is the first of many stupid plans that didn't need to happen. So there are a total of 5 DHIs, and Pearson was kind enough to give each one just one personality trait and hoped that would be enough. So first we have Finn. He is the leader. He's kind of like if Mr. Shoe and Finn Hudson had a baby and they named it Finn. Like if you've seen Glee, you know exactly the kind of character that Finn is. Then we have Charlene. She's the pretty blonde popular girl. Next we have Philby. He has red hair and he likes books. It's mentioned he has an accent at one point, but it's never brought back again. Next we have Willa. She's nice. I think she has like 2 lines. I don't know, that's her personality. Then we have Maybeck, the one black kid of the group. His personality is being poor and hot-headed and sassy. Yeah, something doesn't sit right about that. We're not gonna talk about the racial stereotyping because he's the one character in this book that has anything resembling a personality, and he's my favorite because he wouldn't have done that dumb plan that Finn came up with to find everyone. So those are our characters, and Finn still has to track them all down. Through a series of events, Finn and Amanda find the middle school that Charlene goes to and they track her down. She says she's also been having these weird dreams, so Finn suggests that they both go to bed at the same time and see what happens. So that night, they wake up at the Magic Kingdom together. They start walking around and they find the pirate animatronics from Pirates of the Caribbean moving around the laser cars from Buzz Lightyear Ranger Spin. The one thing I did like about these books was how animatronics would come to life and start interacting with everything. I thought that was so cool. So basically Finn sasses the pirates and they start firing the lasers at him and he gets shot and like burned on his arm. So they escape the pirates and they run into Old Man Wayne and he wakes them up using a garage opener button type thing. But Finn wakes up and he notices that he does have a burn on his arm, proving that this is not a dream, and even though you're in your holographic state, when you sleep, you can still get hurt. So through more random connections, all the DHIs get in contact with each other, and they agree to have a meeting that night to discuss what to do. Throughout the book, our character's main way of communication is through Virtual Magic Kingdom. Now, let me tell you what Virtual Magic Kingdom was. It's a very 2000s multiplayer online game that Disney released in 2005 as a part of a special anniversary. This book is like a giant advertisement for this game. See, Toontown and Club Penguin were already running at this time, so I never played VMK. I was too busy playing those. But anyway, they hop onto Virtual Magic Kingdom and they start talking. Also, wait. Finn lets Amanda sit in on this private meeting of like life and death, basically. This is a big theme throughout this book that really bothered me. Finn knows a girl for a day and he tells her all his secrets because she's pretty. But basically, everyone agrees to go to bed at the same time. So that night, everyone wakes up and then Wayne takes them into Cinderella's castle where they find Escher's Keep. Escher's Keep is an Alice in Wonderland style trick staircase that was designed by Walt Disney but was closed to the public because it was deemed too dangerous. Safety is Disney's #1 priority, so this kind of contraption would never exist. There's not actually like a crazy staircase in the castle. It'd be really cool if there were though. So they climb the staircase and they enter a random room. It's not a room that actually exists in the castle, it's just there. This is also the room that they decide to put the garage opener button to wake them up in, so it's in like a safe spot that no one can reach it. And this is the room where Wayne tells them what's going on. We learn that the DHIs were created to defeat the Overtakers. The Overtakers are a group of Disney villains that want to take over all the parks and then the world. Ever wonder why rides mysteriously go closed? Ever wonder why all of the boats are sinking at the park right now? It's the Overtakers. Everyone's beliefs in the villains are what bring them to life, just like how everyone's belief in the good guys bring them to life. This is a concept I really enjoyed and I wish it was explored more in the book, because we only see villains getting brought to life through belief. We never get to see Disney heroes help out the kids. The DHIs are the only people who can fight the Overtakers because they're the only things that are part of the real world and a part of the park. Reading this as an adult, I'm like, you could have chosen anyone to throw into mortal peril and you choose a bunch of 13-year-olds? I mean, I get that this is a middle grade novel, but these kids were just trying to get a paycheck and now they can't sleep and they have to fight? That's not very cool of you, Wayne. Wayne also tells our heroes about the Stonecutter's Quill, which is a story that Walt Disney had personally told him. Within the story are clues that will help lead them to an object that would defeat the Overtakers. These clues are sun, cloud, wind, and stone, and all of them are hidden within the Magic Kingdom. So our team has their mission. The next few days are spent trying to research and figure out where all the other clues could be. While having one of their meetings, we meet Jez, a very sexy and seductive 13-year-old. She goes over and flirts with Finn because every female character in this book has a thing for Finn. So we figure out that the sun clue must be at It's a Small World. Because of the lyrics, there is just one moon and a golden sun. Also, the ride apparently has the biggest sun in Magic Kingdom. Now, I forgot basically everything that happened in this book, but this is the one scene I vividly remember because it kind of traumatized me. They go to It's a Small World, it's dark, the ride magically starts up, and they're on their boat and they're looking around, and they notice that the dolls are kind of moving, like in a way that they shouldn't, and with their lifeless eyes and their opening and closing mouths, they start surrounding the boat and attacking the kids. These dolls are climbing aboard, they're biting arms and legs, the kids are trying to escape. Maybeck drop kicks one, that song is blaring over them, it's terrifying. So the kids are getting eaten alive, and Finn's listening to the lyrics and he hears a smile means friendship to everyone, so he convinces everyone to put on a big, horrifying smile. And the dolls stop attacking because they're like, oh, friendly. And they go through the rest of the ride wearing giant smiles, and they go and look at the sun and they notice nothing is there. So this whole trip was pointless and they don't know where any clues are. So they're stumped, they don't know what to do. The next day they go to a car wash fundraiser. Finn's there talking with Amanda, Maybeck's over there flirting with Jez, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Amanda suggests to look at things through a new perspective, and Finn realizes that they need to have 3D glasses on when they look for clues. So that night, Maybeck, Charlene, and Willa go back to It's a Small World, and Finn and Philby go to Splash Mountain to look for the cloud clues, because apparently Splash Mountain has the most clouds. Finn and Philby enter the ride and they lay on their backs through the ride and they float. They do this to avoid the infrared security system that's along the sides of the rides, and that is actually a thing. It's to prevent guests from getting out and walking around. So Finn and Philby, their backs in that nasty water, with the 3D glasses on, they start looking for clues. They hear the ride start up and they're like, oh no. They reach the drop and they're like, if we don't get onto one of the logs that are moving, we're gonna die. So they're fighting the current, and Finn realizes that because he's half human and half hologram, that also means he's half light. So he focuses on that energy and he's able to just walk through the water with no problem. And he walks into the log and he rescues Philby, who's dangling over the mountain. After that near-death experience, they put on their 3D glasses and they look above the steamboat and they find the letters FME, which is our first clue. They regroup and Willa and Charlene tell them that Maybeck straight up ditched them. They don't know where he went. But the girls were able to find the letters YIR on It's a Small World. I forgot to mention this earlier, but it's relevant now. There are parts within the park that the holograms won't be projected. So this is a spot where the kids can go to hide without the Overtakers seeing them. One of these places is the Indian encampment in the back of Frontierland, which is behind Big Thunder, and if you've been on the Liberty Square riverboat, you'll have seen it. So they head over to the hut to see if Maybeck's there. Instead of Maybeck, they find Maleficent. And they've met her before, but this is the part where she's established as the big bad of the book. When Maleficent is near, they feel a rush of cold. She has like Elsa powers before Elsa was a thing. Which is kind of weird because I always kind of associated Maleficent with like fire because she's a fire-breathing dragon, but you know, ice powers make sense because of like the cold heart, but whatever, I'll take it. So Maleficent starts attacking and they realize they have to escape and leave Maybeck behind, so they press the button and they wake up. So Finn ditches school the next day and he goes to Maybeck's house to see if everything's okay. He finds Maybeck in a deep sleep, unable to wake up, and he learns that he's going to be sent to the hospital the next morning if he doesn't wake up soon. So that night, they have to go on a rescue mission. So the kids need to find out where Maybeck's being held, so they go visit Old Man Wayne, who lives in the apartment above the fire station. There's no apartment in the Magic Kingdom fire station. There's one in Disneyland, but not in Magic Kingdom, to my knowledge. Anyway, Wayne tells them that the best place to hide someone would be Space Mountain because it's dark, lots of noise, you wouldn't be able to hear anyone scream. So Finn and Philby go to Space Mountain and they enter through the roof because they like to make stuff harder for themselves. They find Maybeck in a shed and he tells them that Jez is responsible for kidnapping him. What? The sexy 13-year-old that we've only seen in like 2 scenes is a bad guy? Ever since Maybeck was kidnapped, every night when they go to sleep, they immediately wake up because they're too scared to look for clues. Until one morning we wake up and we realize we need our female characters to do something. So Willa and Charlene decide to go to the park during the day because they don't think they'll get attacked when there's thousands of people around them. They decide to go on Winnie the Pooh to look for the wind clue because of the wind scene. And I'm gonna say this now, I kind of wish that the clues were hidden in rides that Walt Disney actually worked on, because I feel like that would just be better for continuity's sake. But it's fine, I don't care. So Willa and Charlene are sitting in their honey pot as usual, enjoying the ride, and then the track stops on the rain scene. The ride is stuck and the doors won't open, and then a sprinkler breaks and starts filling the room with water. The water is rising and Charlene and Willa gotta break the door down before they drown. So the girls are able to break the door down and they find the letter S in the next scene. So Finn is determined to find the last clue that night. So him and Philby go to Big Thunder Mountain to look for the stone clue because rocks. So they're climbing along the track to avoid the infrared security again, and they come across the letters TPN, so they finally found all the clues. So they're walking to finish the ride, but then they notice that the geysers have turned to snow. So that means Maleficent's near. And then they feel a rumbling, and then the dinosaur that's on the edge of the walls in the ride comes to life and starts chasing them. Philby starts yelling some physics at it, and then it shatters, and they're able to escape. Once they escape, they regroup at Cosmic Rays Cafe, where they start hanging out and eating in the food preparation area. I worked on Magic Kingdom food service, and seeing these people mess up the closing shifts like hard work, it was a little like, ugh. So they write down the letters and they sneeze, and the letters spell out, "My first pen." So we learn that Walt Disney's first pen is the key to defeating the Overtakers. And the pen is on display at One Man's Dream at MGM Studios. That's how old this book is. It's still called MGM Studios. They go to MGM Studios during the day and they break into One Man's Dream. They bring Amanda to distract the security guards. So he hides in One Man's Dream, he grabs a pen and he grabs some blueprints too, but then he feels a rush of cold, which means Maleficent's nearby. He gets so cold he drops the papers and someone grabs the papers and runs. Finn runs out of the exhibit and he bumps into Amanda and he's like, "Amanda, how could you?" And she's like, "Finn, I can explain." And Finn's all upset and he never wants to talk to her again, even though you invited her there. Like, Finn, I know I've been saying you can't trust her, but you invited her here. There's a reason she's there. So anyway, they don't trust Amanda, they have the pen, and they're ready to defeat Maleficent. They go on the night of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party because that's gonna be the perfect time for the villains to take over the park. They're at the party and they see Jez talking to a mysterious woman, and we realize that she's talking to Maleficent. Maleficent sees them staring and she casts a spell, and this spell puts all of the female characters to sleep. Because, you know, they haven't been doing much this book, why give them something to do now? So rather than going to Wayne and figuring out what to do with the pen, the boys decide to follow Maleficent and Jez. They follow them over to Pirates of the Caribbean, where they find a big prison underneath the ride. Now, throughout the book, there's been random padlocks going missing, and we realize that the Overtakers have been stealing them so they can lock all the cast members in these cells when they finally take over the park. Now, I found this really funny because I love my job, but there are those days where you're working a 13-hour shift, the Florida sun is beaming down on you, guests are being rude, your legs hurt, you're tired. So if someone came up to me and was like, "Follow me," I would gladly get up and follow. And not only do I not have to work, they're taking me to Pirates of the Caribbean, the best smelling, most air-conditioned ride at the park. And I get to just sit down and talk to my coworkers. I know a lot of people who would just be really okay with that. So the boys confront Maleficent and Jez, and surprise, they wanted to be followed. Maleficent says, "Give me the pen and you all live," and Finn goes, "No." So a fight breaks out, they start fighting, and do you want to know how Finn defeats the mistress of all evil? He throws a pen at her. The pen drains Maleficent and knocks her out. A pen is Maleficent's weakness. I guess now is a good time to talk about my problem with Maleficent in this book. Our main female antagonist, mistress of all evil, the most evil villain in Disney canon, is weak. She doesn't carry herself with any wicked elegance. She's basically unrecognizable. She displays far too much mercy, she's dumb, and she's threatened by 13-year-olds. It's just very disappointing to have a book that relies so heavily on Disney lore not make the characters true to what made them so intriguing in the first place. So Finn picks up his pens and he bolts. The spell is broken, everyone's awake now, except Maleficent still has the blueprints that she stole at One Man's Dream. Maleficent is defeated for now, but she's recovering in a new lair underneath the Magic Kingdom. Wayne tells them that they need to break into the Utilidors underneath the Magic Kingdom to defeat Maleficent for good. Now, every Disney fan is aware of this. The Utilidors are a series of secret tunnels underneath the Magic Kingdom that employees use to get around the park. So here's Wayne's big plan. These 13-year-old children are gonna pose as cast members and enter the Utilidors. These 13-year-old celebrities that every cast member has seen are gonna be walking around in one of the most restricted areas in the park. The cast members are probably like, man, these college program kids are getting younger and younger. So they all get costumes from different lands. Some are from Adventureland, some are from Frontierland, some are from Fantasyland. Everyone's wearing a different land costume. There is no mention of getting a Chris from Orlando name tag, and I think that's just very inaccurate. So they enter the Utilidor, and Pearson actually does a really good job at explaining the energy of it all. There are carts zooming around, about to hit you. Cast members have to just run to their next location. He talks about the character performers walking around. He talks about the cafeteria called the Mouseketeria that everyone eats in. He talks about the hair salon place. It really is like a little city, and he does a really good job at creating that vibe. So the group decides to split up and enter the coldest parts of the tunnel. The girls go to a fridge because we need more excuses to get the girls just out of the way. We don't want to deal with them. While the boys go to a computer server room. They find Maleficent hiding in the computer server room. Finn is able to trick her and run in and grab the blueprints. They knock her into the computer servers, and actually the energy from them charges her, so this backfires. And Maleficent starts chasing them around the Utilidor. I'm gonna interrupt this and talk about like a really bad like nitpick I had. And if you've ever worked for Disney, you're gonna feel it too. So they're all wearing costumes from different lands, and they all escape Maleficent by entering Tomorrowland. So like you have someone wearing like Adventureland and Frontierland all in Tomorrowland. Like we have the Utilidors to prevent stuff like that from happening. You have to stay in your land. You can't have themes mixing. So this whole scene is going down in Tomorrowland. All I can think about is, it's not in Disney, look, it's not in Disney, look, it's bad show, it's bad show, it's bad show. Anyway, they escape Maleficent, and then guests start surrounding them, which is pretty accurate. And Maybeck is wearing a costume from Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and everyone is asking Aladdin for an autograph. I worked in Adventureland, and I looked at those costumes like all day. There's no way you could see that as Aladdin, but whatever. So they're trying to hide in the crowd, but Jez finds them and starts attacking. Finn and Jez start fighting, and then Finn realizes he has the power to turn into his hologram while he's awake. And this is a really interesting power that I hope comes back in all the other future books. So while Finn's a hologram, he walks into Jez and through Jez, like they kind of merge. And once Finn leaves, Jez collapses. Jez starts to transform. Her dark hair turns blonde because dark hair makes you evil. And we realize that Jez is actually Amanda's sister, and she was under Maleficent's spell, which also explains why Amanda was being so shady. So Maleficent appears, she's mad, she starts fighting, they jump through a garbage chute. Maleficent, the mistress of all evil, gets trapped in a garbage can, and the Imagineers take her away to prison. So this is our ending, folks. Maleficent is defeated, Jez and Amanda are reunited, our 5 DHIs gather at Cinderella's castle, and they watch a beautiful fireworks show occur. And that was Kingdom Keepers Disney After Dark. So I definitely had a very different experience reading this book than what I did when I was 10. I obviously had a lot of problems with the story and how the characters were handled in this book, but the concept and the potential is there. I think that's why I was so upset during this reread, is because it has so much potential to be more than it is. And I hope that the more I read these books, the better it'll get. Especially since these books were so formative for me. And it was great to revisit it, especially after having worked there and starting a BookTube channel. There's a lot I would change about this book, and while doing research for this video, I learned that Ridley Pearson has actually begun rewriting each book to fit how Disney is today. From what I've heard, he's only updated like a little bit of it. He hasn't done an overhaul, which I think needs to happen. This is why I think a Disney Plus show would be amazing, because you can fix all the problems with the characters and the story and use this concept to make it better than it is. There was a Disney Plus show in production, but it got canceled because it used too many intellectual properties, but I feel like that could easily be changed. I might do a separate video of just doing like a full pitch, but we'll see if that happens. I think they should give Kingdom Keepers another chance. I honestly just can't wait to read the rest of the books and see what happens. So again, subscribe so you can see where this story goes. I don't know how to end this video, so here's a photo I made. Yeah, I hope the representation gets better.